Welcome to Train Signal. This is the Introduction to Forefront Threat Management Gateway 2010 lesson in the Forefront Threat Management Gateway 2010 training course. We'll start this lesson with a short discussion on what exactly is accomplished with Forefront Threat Management Gateway. Next, we'll talk about how you license the product and talk about some of its primary features. From there, we'll move on to a discussion about what's new in this latest version of Forefront Threat Management Gateway, including what's new in Service Pack 1, as well as Update 1 to Service Pack 1. Next, we'll compare the various editions of TMG, and we'll talk about where Forefront TMG is different from the Unified Access Gateway, which is a complementary product to TMG. We'll then wrap up this lesson with a discussion about what GlobalMantics will choose moving forward with regard to TMG. Forefront TMG 2010 has a whole lot of capability. It can serve many needs in many different areas, and GlobalMantics knows this. There are multiple editions of the product from which to choose, and products which appear to perform the same function. For example, the aforementioned Unified Access Gateway. GlobalMantics needs to understand the full TMG feature set, to understand the various editions that are available, as well as what's available in the updates. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand the primary features that are available in Forefront Threat Management Gateway. You'll understand the difference between the Standard Edition and the Enterprise Edition of the products. You'll be able to choose the right licensing and add-on options and know how TMG differs from Microsoft's UAG product. So what exactly is Forefront Threat Management Gateway, or TMG? Way back when, Microsoft had a product called the Internet Security and Acceleration Server. That is now called Forefront TMG, so basically TMG is the successor to ISA. TMG provides outbound and limited inbound protection for organizations and helps users safely use internet resources. What I mean by that is as users in GlobalMantics are using the internet, TMG will protect them from themselves by helping to make sure that the internet stays a safe resource for the company to do business on. TMG is a multi-layer protection in a single product. There are different features in TMG that can be combined together to form a full multi-layer security function, including web filtering, caching, the whole nine yards. Some of the capabilities that are in TMG that are required by GlobalMantics include routing and remote access, including the creation of a VPN and proxy server, traditional firewall security features, including anti-malware protection, and network performance and acceleration, including HTTP compression, and acting as a caching server to improve internet connection performance. This slide will give you a short introduction to the different editions of Forefront TMG, but we'll go into those in more depth later. Here we want to focus on the licensing of the product. First of all, we have the Medium Business Edition, which is available with Microsoft Windows Essential Server for Medium Business. This carries a per processor license that has a list price of $1,295. So if you have a server that has 2 processors, this is going to cost you twice that amount, or almost $2,600. The Standard Edition has a per processor license of $1,499. Enterprise, $59.99. The Enterprise Edition can also be installed on multiple machines, multiple servers, to act in a more comprehensive system-wide protection capacity. If you want to install TMG on multiple machines, you have to still buy the licenses on a per processor basis. So if you plan to install TMG on 10 servers and each server has 2 processors, you have to buy 20 processor licenses in order to make this happen. Or you can buy a 25 processor pack for $75,000, which is about 50% of the base price of the product. Due to this per processor licensing model carried by TMG, there are no device or client licenses required. As you may be aware, many Microsoft products carry a client access license with them. TMG is an exception to this for the base product. However, when you start looking at adding services onto the product, for example, web protection services, this does carry an annual subscription of $12 per user or device, or if you're running the Medium Business Edition, $8 per user or device. Now, let's talk about some of the good stuff. Let's start with Forefront 2010 primary features. Again, the most obvious feature of Forefront is its firewall, which includes packet filtering, which is a simple yes or no to traffic based on certain rules that you create. For example, a general IP address rule or a protocol rule. You could say yes or no, for example, to HTTP traffic. Next, we have a stateful inspection firewall. This is where the firewall is constantly monitoring conversations between the source and destination systems, and it maintains a look at the connection state while it makes more advanced decisions about what to do with the traffic. A stateful inspection firewall helps to prevent spoof attacks because it knows when a particular session starts and when that session stops. In other words, it knows what connections are already valid and prevents the possibility for opening multiple sessions in the same name. And next we have application layer filtering at the firewall level. This operates at a higher level in the ISO OSI model, if you're familiar with that network model, and it can help make yes or no decisions based on specific application needs and expectations. And you'll see that in action later in this course. Forefront also has the ability to publish applications out to the internet. For example, Exchange and SharePoint, internally used applications that are used by employees of the company. This application publishing feature includes authentication delegation, which allows TMG to forward credentials to a published web server. So basically it allows the ability to have single sign-in capability available on the services offered by the company. The user can sign in, for example, to a web server without being prompted to enter credentials a second time. TMG provides Outlook Web Access, SharePoint, terminal services, and general web server publishing. This enables external contact by mobile users for these key internal services. This feature does cross over a little bit with Unified Access Gateway and is actually the source of some confusion about which product to choose for which situation. Forefront also provides Virtual Private Network or VPN capability in two different ways. First of all, you have the capability to create a site-to-site VPN which connects branch offices with one another. You can connect the entire network at a branch office to the network at the main office, for example. When you have a site-to-site VPN, the individual PCs in the branch office do not have to connect via a VPN client. Why? This is because Forefront TMG is acting on their behalf. So when their traffic passes through Forefront TMG, the site-to-site VPN that's been established by Forefront is the mechanism by which those machines hit the headquarters network. For those mobile users that might be sitting at a Starbucks, this is where the remote access VPN capability comes into play. This enables those mobile users secure, authenticated access to behind the firewall resources that they would otherwise not have access to from the public internet. For years, ISA administrators, Internet Security and Acceleration Server, or ISA server administrators, have asked for lots of features to be added to the product. A lot of these features have been added in TMG 2010. And let's start with a short discussion about what was available in the original or RTM version of the product. First of all, we have HTTP and HTTPS inspection. This allows deep inspection of HTTP and encrypted HTTP or HTTPS sessions to protect users from malware and other exploits that are carried over these extremely commonly used protocols. Just about everything your users do out on the internet is HTTP or HTTPS based. So this ability to protect them from malware that's included in these protocols is pretty key to a security system. There are obviously some sites that you want to be able to exclude from this kind of inspection. You may, for example, run across a site that is a false positive for malware. Well, you can provide the ability to exclude groups of sites in HTTP and HTTPS inspection. And you're going to see these abilities happen later on in this course. Next, we have URL filtering. This examines destination URLs to ensure compliance with organizational policy. This also uses the Microsoft Reputation Service to keep information current. So if there are dangerous URLs out there that should not be visited, the URL filtering feature will stay up to date with Microsoft Reputation Services to make sure that users remain protected from the latest exploits. One of the most significant additions to TMG 2010 is the Network Inspection System, which is a signature-based intrusion prevention system. This examines traffic for signs of attempted exploit of known operating system and application vulnerabilities. This is a service that's kept up to date on a regular basis, and as what are called zero-day exploits are released, TMG can be patched to protect against those by watching the kind of traffic coming in from the internet. Based on the signature of the traffic, if it detects a known exploit, it can block those exploits from taking place. Here's some more good stuff in TMG 2010, including web antivirus and anti-malware, which enables real-time packet inspection to prevent users from succumbing to viruses and malware by web browsing the web. TMG 2010 also boasts native 64-bit support, which most Microsoft products now are doing. This allows Threat Management Gateway to support larger workloads and run on newer Microsoft operating systems, including Windows Server 2008 R2. You probably know that availability of your internet connection is primary, especially as companies begin to adopt more and more cloud-based applications. TMG 2010's ISP failover feature provides the ability for Threat Management Gateway to work with multiple internet service provider connections for failover or load balancing purposes. This is a great availability mechanism built into the newest version of the product. Since the original release of TMG 2010, Microsoft has also released an SP1, or Service Pack 1. This is the point at which many Microsoft software users decide to deploy a product because SP1 can often correct some flaws that were inherent in the original release of a product. Microsoft has added a few features to SP1 that are pretty useful. First of all, there's improved reporting, or for example, a new user activity report that shows you everything that a user's been doing in TMG. There are enhancements to URL filtering, which provides the ability for a user override for particular access restrictions. This can allow a more flexible and easier deployment of web access policy that's not quite as strict depending on corporate demand. There's also enhanced branched office support. Microsoft understands that TMG will probably be used in branch offices as an edge device to protect against internet threats. There are simplified deployments of the branch cache service at branch offices in TMG, and Microsoft allows you to combine Forefront TMG and a read-only domain controller on a single branch office server as a way to reduce costs. I specifically say that they allow you to combine TMG with a read-only domain controller. You cannot install TMG on a normal writable domain controller. Microsoft has also released Update 1 for Service Pack 1, which added a couple of new features, including Safe Search enforcement. Microsoft uses this concept of Safe Search to basically rate different websites into different categories. So using the existing Safe Search categories, you can now enforce blocking of adult text, images, and videos from search results by popular search engines. So you don't even see the results because you can enforce Safe Search now through TMG. We also have the inclusion of non-primary URL filtering categorizations, which allows URL rule matching on non-primary URL categories to enable more granular rule creation. When we get to URL filtering in this course, this will make more sense, but I wanted to make sure that I told you that that was a new feature in Update 1. Here's a look at how the two primary editions of TMG 2010 compare. We have the standard on the left and the enterprise on the right in two columns, and a block means that the edition has that particular feature. You'll see that the standard edition includes standalone installation capability as opposed to array-based installation, which allows you to manage multiple TMG servers from one system. It supports up to 4 CPUs in a server, so it does limit your expansion capabilities somewhat, although 4 CPUs is still a lot. And the standard edition includes firewall, VPN remote access, web proxy, caching, and anti-malware protection. On the enterprise side, you can install a server into an array, and you'll also have network load balancing support for high availability. So you can have 2 TMG servers acting as one, and if one fails, the other one will pick up the load, and also load balance between the two. We also support an unlimited number of CPUs in the enterprise version. So if you have an 8 or higher CPU count, you can install Threat Management Gateway and take advantage of those computing resources. In the Enterprise Edition, you also add the ability to have HTTPS inspection, email security features, the network inspection system, ISP redundancy, and what's called a non-domain joined gateway. In other words, you can have a Threat Management Gateway system that's not a part of your overall domain. Microsoft makes 2 internet protection software suites. One is called Threat Management Gateway, and the other one is called Unified Access Gateway. TMG focuses on outbound scenarios. For example, users behind the firewall, they need to access internet-based resources. This protects employees from themselves while they use these internet resources, and it keeps data connectivity clean and adhering to company policy. However, TMG also does provide some inbound services, for example, enabling traditional VPN connectivity and some other features. Unified Access Gateway, on the other hand, is focused on inbound requirements, including complete application publishing and what's called SSL VPN capability. We're not going to focus on Unified Access Gateway in this course. We're going to be focusing on the traditional VPN features that are provided by Threat Management Gateway, and we'll talk about some of Threat Management Gateway's inbound protection capabilities as well. So what will Global Mantic choose moving forward? Global Mantic needs many of the advanced Threat Management Gateway features. First of all, the company needs all of the features that are found in the Standard Edition, plus they want to use HTTPS inspection and the Network Inspection System, among others. As such, Global Mantic will deploy the Enterprise Edition of Threat Management Gateway 2010. In this introductory lesson, we started by talking about the purpose of Threat Management Gateway, and then we talked about how you can license the product in Global Mantic or in your organization. We then talked about some of the product's primary features and had a discussion about what's new in the 2010 version and the 2010 version SP1 and SP1U1 editions that have come out since the original release. We then looked at a quick overview of what's available in the various editions and gained an understanding of where Forefront and UAG, or Unified Access Gateway, differ from one another. And we wrapped up this lesson by understanding why Global Mantic is going to move ahead with the Enterprise Edition of Threat Management Gateway. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.